It's now time for Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It began as a podcast, went live on the net, and transformed into a full-blown empire. It's the only daily boxing talk show on the planet, hosted by the only guy with the balls to do it. Many have stepped into the ring. Many have tried to take the belt. And one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. Talkin' Boxing with Billy C is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
To you live from the Billy C Studios in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calogero, and it's time for the Billy C Show. Good morning, good day, good evening, whenever you're listening. I hope you're doing all right today. Today's show is being brought to us in part by Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria and Italian Restaurant located on St. Simon's Island in Georgia. Check out the website, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com. I'll give my man a call, 912-268-2328, 912-268-2368. Give my man a call right now. No, not right now. They're not open now. But you know what I'm talking about, whenever you're listening. Today's show is also being brought to you in part by my book. Tom Molyneux, From Bondage to Baddest Men on the Planet, is available right now where all good books are sold. And you can get a copy of this book right now while you're watching or listening to the show. Just go to barnesandnoble.com or amazon.com. Find out why I'm so adamant about getting Tom Molyneux's story told. And one last thing. If you're going to be traveling and you need to stay at a Holiday Inn, any Holiday Inn property, don't forget, you get a Billy C discount. Man, I'm having a hard time today. Today, it started off bad. It started off bad already. But you get a Billy C discount. Just use the toll-free number 844-603-0364, 844-603-0364, or just visit our website, BillyCBoxing.com, and click on the banner. It's on the right-hand side. Don't forget, tomorrow, our blast from the past is Michael Second to None. And my man Larry Hazard will be joining us as well. We are in fight week. Anthony Joshua versus Joseph Parker, a unification fight. The winner of this fight will walk away with the WBA, IBF, WBO, and IBO belts. The only belt left would be the WBC belt, which is held by Deontay Wilder. We'll talk about that. In my opinion, that it's going to be an exciting fight, but we'll get to that in a second. Bob Arum had some comments concerning the situation with Triple G and Canelo. And also, speaking of which, I have an update on a possible opponent for Triple G if Canelo is banned, which he should be. Anybody that's caught cheating, especially with performance-enhancing drugs, there should be a penalty, a consequence, and nobody should be above that. And that spineless, gutless piece of garbage in Nevada, Bob Bennett, all eyes are on him. They have temporarily, as we talked about yesterday, temporarily suspended Canelo until April 10th when they have their meeting. And I've read some things, both sides. A lot of people think that it's just going to be shoved under the carpet. But then again, there's some strong possibilities that this fight may not take place because of the pressure that's on the Nevada State Athletic Commission. And one of the big telltales was this past weekend when we watched Dillian White destroy Lucas Brown. HBO, which is doing the pay-per-view for Triple G Canelo, did not mention it, not once. They know that it's up in the air as well, so they didn't want to promote it. So interesting things. Listen, I never want to stand in anybody's way of making a huge payday or anything like that. But on the other hand, everybody's crying about performance-enhancing drugs and cheaters in the business, et cetera, et cetera. You can't let this get away. You can't. You have to make a statement. Unfortunately for Canelo, he was the one cheating, and that statement is going to be applied to him, at least in my opinion. Joining me right now to get his opinion, Sal Rocky Senecola. What's your thoughts on the latest developments?
Well, they are the latest developments because before I went away this weekend, I did not really hear all the information that you're just reciting now, and I did see it this morning on the ESPN website. And, yeah, I guess the fight is definitely in jeopardy with the hearing coming up, and we'll see from there. You and I had said, maybe make a stance and let's let this be what it really is and suspend Canelo. And, this may just very well be the pathway that's going to be taken. And, so, this might be a good thing right now just to make this case because, these PEDs that are in the sport, definitely they've got to be banned. Everything's got to be followed by the rules and regulations. There can't be any private or personal concessions being made for anybody. So let's let it ride the way it's supposed to be. Let the whole system play out. And if that's the case, then this fight's not going to happen, at least not in May.
Well, I hope it doesn't happen at all because I don't think that it's right that anyone should get a pass. But Bob Arum had a funny thing. He was asked about this situation. And he said, basically, this whole fabrication of the eating tainted meat story sounds like my dog ate my homework line. And he's right. I mean, the truth of the matter is that you got to be held accountable. You can't. It's like we kid. I always say fighters and their team saying, we did this, we did that, we worked hard, we prepared our best, and then the fighter loses and the trainers are going, well, he didn't listen to me, he didn't do this. Well, it's the same thing with the fighter. We have a game plan, we're doing this, we're doing that. We're eating the right food, we're working out, we're doing the right exercise. Well, then all of a sudden when he tests positive, he's pointing a finger. Well, I don't know. I just ate what, I took that pill and water because my nutritionist said so. I mean, you got to be held accountable for what you're doing, Sal.
Well, and that's the other thing. You never know how far of a span this could actually evolve to. Maybe Canelo will be saying the next thing, well, if it's not the meat, then, I have a nutritionist. And he said, here, take this, take that. I had no idea what I was taking. So, in other words, accountability, he's got a couple of ways that he's going to deflect this off of him personally, because no way could he be associated with this personally. I just don't see it happening, him fessing up and saying, oh yeah, somebody pulled me aside. This was either his camp's way of getting a competitive edge. I think he sought after it was probably introduced to him as a viable option to be stronger, to be quicker, to be more durable going into the fight. How long has he been doing this? We don't know. But bottom line is he was caught now. And he
was caught. And if he does not get to fight Demetrius Andrade, who's 25-0, former world junior middleweight champion, and his team, Banner and Star Boxing, both co-promotions, they said, hey, well, he'll step in. He'll be ready to fight Canelo, I'm sorry, Triple G.
Triple G.
If Canelo can't do it, which is kind of funny. He's ranked number 1 in the WBO at middleweight. Demetrius Andrade fought one time at middleweight. He fought Alantez Fox in his last fight in October. Aside from that, he's been, he fights far and few in between. It's a shame because he's a talent, but at least you got one name floating around there. We'll see what happens. The team, Triple G, has already said that they are fighting on that date, whether it's against Canelo or not. So we'll see.
Good for him, yeah.
In any event, hey, they announced the officials for the Anthony Joshua-Joseph Parker fight for this weekend. Funny how they do that the week of the fight. Like,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
was gonna
you're
say, I
kind
thought
of
this was
supposed to, you know, Las Vegas, the Nevada State Athletic Commission recently named officials for a fight that wasn't even taking place. It had been canceled due to an injury. Months in advance, they name these officials, which is ridiculous. And it should be another flag going up. But as far as the fight for this weekend, they named the officials, the three judges, Steve Westfield, who you hear a lot on TV. I don't know how great he is, but he is what it is. Steve Gray, and he's from the USA. Steve Gray out of the UK, and Ian Scott out of New Zealand. Now the referee is Giuseppe Quattroni out of Italy. So at least we have all the neutral judges. That's the way it should be, Sal.
Good.
Neutral refs, neutral judge. What do you think?
I think it's great. And I said they should have done that with the fight with Klitschko, not Klitschko, light heavyweight with Andre Ward, and they should have done this many times. I think an international panel should be also introduced to big title fights or so. I really believe that.
Well, I think that there definitely should be neutrality in the
Yes.
in all of it, whether it's a neutral, definitely three neutral judges,
Yes.
and the referee should be, I would like to see different referees. As too often are we seeing the same referees over and over and over, and in a lot of cases they're not even good ones. That Mark Nelson is terrible, and he's been popping up all over the place. The best referees, in my opinion, are the referees you don't remember who reffed because they did a good job. They were out of picture. They did what they were supposed to do. The referees that you remember, that burn in your head because you remember who the ref was, that's a guy that made an impact for some way, shape, or form. Whether he slapped you got all the, it's you can dissect the sport in so many ways, and it's so disheartening sometimes, Sal.
Well, you have certain referees, they do like to get the camera time. They do like to get their names out there. Will they go out of their way to do something that will propel that to continue happening? I don't know. I can't say. They're doing their job. If they're more flamboyant in their mannerisms, then the networks and the commissioners that hire them should be aware of that, and then have a talk with them and say, hey, we're hiring you to do a job. Let's see you do a good job, and don't do more and do less than what you're supposed to do.
Hey, that's a great idea, Sal. Maybe they should do that. Maybe they should look at that, but unfortunately they don't. And I got news for you: a referee should not be hired because he makes googly eyes and a thing, and because he dances and does that's not a referee doing his job. That's a referee trying to get on TV. That's a referee trying to make a name for himself outside of what he's supposed to be doing, which is refereeing a fight. Listen, I've said this all the time. You have fighter A versus fighter B. You don't have fighter A versus fighter B featuring Joe Schmo as the referee. No. That's not how it works, man. It's not how it works. My man Johnston has given us the second installment, and he's going to post it up on BillyCBoxing.com, but the second installment of Anthony Joshua's fight diary. And this is what he's got to say. This installment, this is Anthony Joshua. He says, there's been a lot of talk this week about what lies ahead after I fight Joseph Parker on Saturday night. That's always the way in boxing. But looking beyond the fight is both a big mistake and an unnecessary distraction. That being said, I get the conjecture as the heavyweight division is booming at the moment with a lot of star names and attractions. But you can never look beyond the man standing in the ring opposite you. Yet I do understand the bigger picture and the fact that winning the WBO belt is another step towards unifying the division. Parker was the one who agreed to the fight, so I have to respect him for stepping up, as it genuinely could have been Deontay Wilder. Wilder got a win against a credible fighter in Luis Ortiz at the start of this month, But after 9 years as a pro, he's supposed to do that. It was his 40th fight. By my 40th fight, no one should be giving me any problems. I should be a seasoned professional. Instead, he goes around America shouting bomb squad and that he's the WBC World Heavyweight Champion, but only when he's ready to sign the contract will we find out what he's really about. If I had to compare both fighters, I would say Parker is the more dangerous opponent. Wilder has an unpredictable style and explosive power, whereas with Parker, he is a bit more of an all-around game, as you could talk about his speed, his stamina, and he's got a good chin. He doesn't throw many combination punches, but he throws way more than Wilder. There's never been one champion in the heavyweight division who relied solely on power and one punch, so the stats and facts suggest that Parker is the tougher fight. Of the others, Dillian Whyte did well over the weekend, and everybody knows the history between us and the amateurs and at the O2 Arena in 2015, and people do want to see a rematch. Dillian was saying that he would love to fight me there 4 or 5 times as we bring out the best of each other, and I don't back down from someone who wants to go to war. Although I'm hunting for the belts, he's ranked with the WBC and is chasing down Wilder as well. So either way, I'm looking to get my hands on that belt. Tyson Fury has got a lot of people talking recently about the big news that he's going to announce, but I don't spend any of my time thinking about him. People want to see him back in the sport, and he's calling out big names for his first fight back, but give it a couple of bouts, and people will realize how boring he is again. My only interest is to unify the heavyweight division, so he isn't even a potential opponent for me, as he has no belts and hasn't been remotely active. Saying all of this, plans for the future depend on getting the job done on Saturday, and I'm not looking past that. I can't. Everybody's interested in what's going to happen in 2018 and beyond, but my full focus is on Joseph Parker. Then it's properly time to talk about the bigger picture. I love Anthony Joshua. I love what he says, but I'm not so sure I believe it. I'm not so sure I believe that he's not looking past Joseph Parker, because he's talked about every other potential opponent that he has after the Joseph Parker fight in this statement, and I also, uncharacteristically of him, he's kind of calling out Deontay a little more than we've heard in the past. Deontay shouts and, says how he's ducking him, how AJ's ducking him, et cetera, et cetera. And AJ just put it on the line, said, sign a contract. There's been an offer. You want to fight? Let's fight. If not, I have other options. That's what he's saying. That's what I took. What do you think?
Well, I think a couple of things I was making notes with. First of all, Dillian Whyte. If he was to fight Anthony Joshua, Dillian Whyte would resemble a dandelion in the sun for a month without water and fold just like that. I can't see Dillian Whyte doing anything against Anthony Joshua. Joshua will destroy him inside of 3 rounds. As far as calling out Deontay Wilder or saying that Parker is more dangerous than Deontay Wilder, I don't believe in my heart of hearts that he truly feels that either, because you do. Again, I'm going to say this, in all due respect to Anthony Joshua. And I love him. I think he's a great heavyweight champion. I think he's great for boxing. But I think it's amusing how he's revealing his personal diary, which is just what I just said, a personal diary. It's things you write in there that's not for anybody else to look at. For him to do this, it's a great mouthpiece to share with him and market him and have us believe what he wants us to believe about Anthony Joshua. So it's nothing good or bad. I'm just telling you. I'm not sure if these are the real thoughts and real feelings of Anthony Joshua, or if this is just promoting or giving us an idea of what he wants everybody to know, who the real Anthony Joshua is. That's all.
Well, first of all, we're going to take a break, but it's not a personal diary. It's a fight diary.
No, it's a fight diary.
What he's trying to do is give the fans a look at what's going through his mind leading up to the fight, which I think is pretty cool. I don't think
cool. No, it's cool. I'm not saying anything bad.
I know.
Bad,
We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll got more on Anthony Joshua, Joseph Parker this weekend. Can't wait.
Billy C will be right back.
Relief from backaches and stiffness in your hips or down your legs? Then you need Dr. Ho's Back Relief Belt. The innovative technology works to support and decompress your spine. And now it's covered by Medicare.
Every patient with back pain should be wearing this belt.
Nothing gave me instant relief except for the Dr. Ho belt.
Feel good while standing, walking, driving, doing housework, and while laying down. And now Dr. Ho's patented belt is available at our best price ever. It's even covered by Medicare. Order now and get the easy-to-use hand pump and back rehabilitation DVD free.
You know, similar belts can cost you almost $1,000, but my belts won't cost you $500, not $300, not even $200. I will give you my special TV price.
And remember, Dr. Ho's belt is covered by Medicare.
If you know a friend or family member that suffers with pain, get them my system today. Help them live with less pain, be more active, and get back to doing the things they love. Give them the gift of health.
This is important news for women using birth control medications and devices. If you or a loved one have been diagnosed with a pseudotumor after using one of these birth control drugs or devices, you may be eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Contact the law firm of Davis & Crump right now if you or a loved one have used one of these birth control medications or devices and were diagnosed with a pseudotumor to see if you are eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Call now. Operators are standing by.
Hologram USA presents a proposal to all investors. Hologram USA is an innovative three-dimensional patented technology that shifted the paradigm in media technology. Our patented hologram technology that brought you Tupac and Coachella, Whitney Houston, Billie Holiday, and many more is integrating live performances to bring your favorite past and present entertainers beyond your imagination. Invest in the patented technology before the banks scoop up all the stock. Invest in Hologram USA today. Hologram USA Flagship Theater, located on Hollywood Boulevard's Walk of Fame, is the first of many to come. Call now to be part of the explosive growth. Pick up the phone. Dial the number on your screen now. Invest in Hologram USA today. Call the number on your screen right now to learn about this investment opportunity.
Call 800-624-1673. 800-624-1673. Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you!
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us today. And we're talking about the fight coming up this weekend. Huge fight in the heavyweight division. Anthony Joshua against Joseph Parker. There's a lot of discussion going on in all the chat rooms right now. And a lot of people in the YouTube chat, which incidentally we have the super chat available, so if you want to get your point talked about and mentioned on the show, just do a super chat and I'll hook you right up. And we appreciate the super chats. But the big question here is, you know, again, they're not talking about Joseph Parker. They're talking about Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua. And to be honest with you, I get the feel that not only are the fans overlooking Joseph Parker, but I think Anthony Joshua is overlooking Joseph Parker a little bit too. What's your thoughts on that, Mr. Senecola?
Well, I believe he might be looking past this fight this weekend, and I think he definitely cannot afford to do that because Parker, I think, is going to be a lot more dangerous than Lucas Brown or Dillian White. So I think that Parker is going to maybe even look to take advantage of this if he thinks that Anthony Joshua is looking past him. So he's got to focus. He's got to put the blinders on, and he's got to really just get past this weekend, as a true champion will do. So I think that there's a lot of rhetoric and a lot of things that we're going to be looking at past this fight, but we cannot really say anything is past this fight until this fight takes place this weekend. And if Anthony Joshua comes out the victor, then we can look past and look at everything else that opens up, and we can discuss.
I think that this fight between Parker and Anthony Joshua is going to be a little more exciting than people might realize. Parker's a young fighter too. I mean, he's actually younger than Anthony Joshua at 26 years old. And when you look at his resume, he's 24-0 with 18 knockouts. So he's bringing an undefeated record to the ring as well. And he did fight some tough opposition. He fought Andy Ruiz Jr. in 2016, which was a very controversial decision win, and that's how he won the world title. It was a majority decision. It was fought in New Zealand, Joseph Parker's home country, and it was a majority decision win. A lot of people feel that Ruiz Jr. Should have gotten the nod in that fight, and he followed it with two wins over less than stellar opposition. Razvan Kajanu, who's a fighter that was in the ESPN heavyweight tournament, was a decent fighter, but ended up going the distance with Parker. And then in his last fight, another controversial win over Hughie Fury. Those two, basically those three fights, all kind of weird. Two controversial wins, one dominating win. And when you look throughout Joseph Parker's professional career, he's had some layup opponents. Daniel Martz, Jason Bergman's a tough guy, but he's not exactly a world beater. He did beat Cali Meehan. He beat Bowie Tutupu, who was really a cruiserweight. Sherman Tank Williams, way past his prime when he beat him. Brian Minto, basically a Lucas Brown type fighter, and he fought 175-year-old Francois Botha back in 2013. But the point is he's had some experience. A lot of discussion going on right now in the chat room about Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder, who's got the tougher resume and blah 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 and everything else. And listen, nobody's lying when they say that Deontay Wilder hasn't fought anybody. He hasn't. I give him credit, obviously, for his last fight. That was a huge win against, and I don't care what people say, it was against a quality opponent. And I also give him credit for beating Artur Spitska. Not that Spitska was a great fighter, but he was at least a ranked fighter. Aside from that, Deontay Wilder's, other 38 wins were against basically cupcakes. Now, when you look at Anthony Joshua, the argument is, well, he's fought no one either. He beat up a 40-year-old Vladimir Klitschko. The thing that I look at with Anthony Joshua is Anthony Joshua, in his 7th pro fight, fought Matt Skelton. And Matt Skelton doesn't have an impressive record, and a lot of people might not know who he is. And in his 10th fight, he fought Michael Sproat. And actually, in his 9th fight, he fought Denis Bakatov. These guys aren't killers. But you know what? When you're early in your career, 7th, 10th fight, and you're fighting experienced guys like that, that helps you develop. That's something that Deontay Wilder never had the opportunity to do. And I think it's going to haunt him as his career goes forward, Sal.
Well, I think it may not. Let's see what he delivers here going forward, and that's the whole thing he's looking for. And it's you can make up and twist and spin the past any way you can, even with the future. But that's what we learn in our political environment. And politics in boxing has always been. So it depends on how and where and what is going to be presented and delivered. All I can say is let's look at the future and let's go on and see what we can build from there and let these fighters do what they have to do. That's get in the ring with the best and make it happen. I could give I give a lot of passes if somebody's at a stature in their career and they're the wrapped up package that's going to be finally either exposed or validated. Then hey, let's see it, let's do it, let's not look past it.
My point is that you can't get better if you're not fighting better opposition. You can't. And in Wilder's case, he had a great fight against Luis Ortiz. And now it's going to be interesting to see how he performs in his next fight, because you would think that he would have learned something. He took a lot of punches in that fight. It was against the southpaw, et cetera, et cetera. So as long as he learns something, I'm okay with it. If not, I disagree with you 110%. That you can't, my point being that Deontay is relying on, he's a one-trick pony right now, and that's his power punch. And he can't do that forever. But then again, like you just said, maybe he can. I don't know. But
I think he learned a lot from that fight, Bill. I think I think he's a smarter guy than what a lot of people give him credit for. I think he knows, and it's like you said in many fights. If somebody gets hurt or reverts back, or they're tired or whatever heck, their instincts take over. Maybe they're not mentally as disciplined just yet or mature enough, and they just revert back to what they know, innate, what's natural. And that bomb right hand is natural, and to deliver it is natural. So hypothetically speaking, I believe he does have more to show. And when he has the right dance partner and he has to do it, a win is a win. And whatever you have to do to win is what's going to make and test a great fighter.
Well, when the time comes, I hope you put your money where your mouth is, because I just this weekend, do me a favor, watch the fight.
I will.
Don't just watch the highlights, because I need you to see the whole package of Anthony Joshua. And by the way, Anthony Joshua against Joseph Parker is going to be an exciting fight. I think it's going to be something that listen, Joseph Parker is ranked at number 7 in the world by the computer. Of course, Anthony Joshua is number 1. Deontay's number 2, by the way. But Joseph Parker brings a lot. What Anthony Joshua was saying in his diary, a lot of it is true about Joseph Parker. All of it's true about Joseph Parker. This kid does have some ability. Yes, he's been in with some decent opponents, but nobody to write home about. Didn't have a lot of money in terms of promotion behind him, so maybe that's it. But did have some good fights. I just think that come Saturday we're going to see Joseph Parker test Anthony Joshua. And Joseph Parker, of his 24 wins, 18 are by knockout. So this guy's got some pop too. He is giving up a couple of inches in height, and he does claim that he's faster and more mobile than AJ and than any opponent that AJ has faced already. And he's going to need to use all of that mobility and hand speed to get to Anthony Joshua. No fighter likes to be on their back foot. I think if Joseph Parker can come at AJ and get him out of his game, rile him up a little bit, he's got a chance. But other than that, I think it is going to lead to some excitement. If Vladimir Klitschko couldn't get Anthony Joshua out of his game, I'm not so sure Joseph Parker can.
Well, that's what we're going to see, and that's why it does pose to be a pretty good fight. And we have some contrast in styles and ability, or I guess what you use to accentuate your career. And that would be my only concern with Anthony Joshua in a fight like maybe he's going to have this weekend. If a guy can be fast enough to be plotting, to be thinking, to be moving, to be hitting. Because Anthony Joshua, to his credit, I mean, he's a dynamic. He's one of the best out there today. He's great. He's got power. He's got ability. He's got skill. But he doesn't have the greatest speed. And
who doesn't have the speed?
No, I don't. I'm not saying he doesn't have the greatest speed.
That's what
Anthony
you just
Joshua,
said.
in my opinion, he's a big guy.
Yeah, but you said those exact words. You said he doesn't have the greatest speed. I got to take a break. Hold that thought, because I want to hear. I want to hear what you got to say. So hold that thought.
Billy C will be right back.
Broken air conditioning, $4,400. Failing refrigerator, $2,500. Don't let outrageous repair and replacement bills like these bust your budget. Get the First American Home Warranty Plan. And when a covered appliance or system breaks, we'll repair it or replace it for you.
We had a high-end dishwasher go kaput. They put it in a brand new dishwasher.
We have plans that cover air conditioning, most appliances, plus heating, plumbing, electrical systems, and much more. Plans start as low as $25 a month. Why let a major appliance or system breakdown bust your budget or go through the hassle of finding trustworthy service people? Last year alone, we saved our customers over $120 million. Don't wait until something breaks and you're stuck with a huge bill.
You save a lot of money. It's absolutely worth it.
If you don't have First American Warranty, get it.
Call 1-800-946-6234 for your free no-obligation quote.
Need relief from backaches and stiffness in your hips or down your legs? Then you need Dr. Ho's Back Relief Belt, the innovative technology to support and decompress your spine. And now it's covered by Medicare.
Every patient with back pain should be wearing this belt.
Nothing gave me instant relief except for the Dr. Ho belt.
Feel good while standing, walking, driving, doing housework, and while laying down. And now Dr. Ho's patented belt is available at our best price ever. It's even covered by Medicare. Order now and get the easy-to-use hand pump and back rehabilitation DVD free.
You know, similar belts can cost you almost $1,000, but my belts won't cost you $500, not $300, not even $200. I will give you my special TV price.
And remember, Dr. Ho's belt is covered by Medicare.
If you know a friend or family member that suffers with pain, get them my system today. Help them live with less pain, be more active, and get back to doing the things they love. Give them the gift of health.
Listen to this important message. If you owe money to the IRS, you will want to hear this. Penalties and interest compound daily on your back taxes, putting you under a mountain of debt. Tax 10,000 has years of experience connecting people with tax resolution specialists. Working through the IRS Fresh Start program, they will handle all the necessary forms, and if you qualify, you may end up saving thousands of dollars. Call Tax 10,000 at 800-773-4604.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Now back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C., the only radio host man enough to take a punch from Mike Tyson.
Wait a minute, man. Hold on there. Jeremy, man, I need you to take this one, all right?
Wait, what? No way. I can't do this.
Need I remind you I'm Billy C., damn it? Now put on that mustache and get in there.
Hey, look at me. I'm Billy C. Crap.
Undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. It's Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us. And just before we went to break, Rocky Senecola made a statement that AJ is not fast. Explain what you mean.
I didn't say he wasn't fast. I just think that you have to be careful with a faster opponent that can get inside and out, because I think Anthony Joshua, he's fast, but he's not the fastest. And what I'm just saying is that an opponent that could move side to side, that could slip a punch, that could counter, that could go to the body, that could be in and out, may give him a little more trouble.
Who can
I
do
don't
that?
know. And if Parker's that kind of fighter, we're going to see how he deals with it.
Well, who's faster than AJ in the heavyweight division right now?
Not too many, because there's not too many.
Exactly.
There's not too many fast heavyweights.
You got to watch him. You got to watch his fights because you know he is. As a matter of fact, one of the things I like about AJ is that he does let his hands go. He's not afraid to engage. He's got that uppercut that almost took Vladimir Klitschko's head clean off his shoulders. I mean, I thought his head was going to end up in the third row. You know, and in order to land an uppercut like that, Sal, you got to be in tight. You got to be close enough to be in range. You're not landing an uppercut like that, being a safe distance. So he's in there, and he has a good enough. I'd like to see him improve a little more, but he's got a good enough defense to keep him, you know, standing. Now, with that said, he's been rocked and down in his career a couple of times. As a matter of fact, the guy you said wouldn't stand a chance with him at all, Dillian Whyte, dropped him. He ended up getting knocked out himself in the following round, just like Klitschko did. But still, and when he does get hurt, and we've talked about this many, many times in the heavyweight division. I mean, that's why everyone likes the heavyweight division, because anybody can hurt his opponent. I don't care how good you are at any time. But the difference which separates a good heavyweight from a not so good heavyweight, if they get hurt, is what they do when they get hurt. Can they rebound? Do they hold on? Do they try to tough it out? You know, with Anthony Joshua, I did see some holes in that game. I did see him not really hold on, tie his opponent up. As a matter of fact, in the fight with Klitschko, I don't know how he didn't end up getting knocked out, to be honest with you. His hands were down. He was totally fatigued. He was exhausted. And Klitschko was coming in for the kill. I don't know how AJ did not get knocked out. And just to toss this into the mix, with Deontay Wilder, when Deontay Wilder was in all kinds of trouble with Luis Ortiz, he too didn't hold on. He was so bent on trying to stay on his feet that he didn't tie up Ortiz. He didn't hold on, which I thought was kind of strange. Both of these guys need to, if they're in trouble, they need to tie up their opponent to bide some time. Don't you think, Sal?
Well, I'll tell you what. You just made some good cases and good points. And here's the thing, though. When you look at the top game, the top fighters in their game, like an Anthony Joshua and like a Deontay Wilder, who have rarely been rocked or hurt, it's a first time for them too. And even though they may have been trained or taught or told, hey, when you're hurt, hold on, tie up, they've never been in that position where it's going to be do or die, life or death, and it's going to decide a fight. So to give them a pass and credit, maybe they know about it now because they've been rocked. Maybe they've been instructed. Maybe they will know. But like I said, these guys have been the elitists in their game, and they've never been in that situation. So to see them having to look to bide some time and regroup and recover and get their feet underneath them has been something that they haven't had to practice. Surely not in training, and definitely not in a fight game as much as the other fighters. So this is a new territory for them. And they both passed, but they didn't pass without having the option or ability to really learn at that moment. They learned after the fact. So let's see how they apply it in the future if they do get hurt.
Well, that's goes with what I've said.
And that's experience.
Exactly. And that's experience against guys that can put you in that position.
That's correct.
This is my point all along when I say it has nothing to do with heavyweights, but all fighters need to be progressively, moved up. Their opponents have to get progressively harder. Otherwise, they don't get better. Listen, Deontay Wilder's team took a huge gamble in overprotecting this guy. And they kind of threw the ball against the wall against Ortiz. They bided their time. They had a guy that wasn't active. They had a guy that really doesn't punch all that hard, and they had a guy who was aging, and they figured they would take the chance. But make no mistake, that was a huge, huge step up in competition for Deontay. And, you know, he has to improve. He has to show that he's better. AJ has been showing fight after fight after fight that he gets better. And I mean, the only fight that he didn't look all that great in recently was the Carlos Takam fight. And the reason why, I not that I want to make an excuse, but the reason,
here we go.
The reason I think, though, Sal, in all honesty, the reason I think that he had trouble with Takam is because I don't think that Anthony Joshua had fought a short man before. You know, I've said this all the time. The Klitschko's became proficient in fighting shorter guys. When they were ruling the heavyweight division, most of the heavyweights were not 6'6", 6'7". They were more like Carlos Takam size, you know, 6'1", maybe 6'2". You know, as the fighters started to get bigger, now 6'4" is the norm, you know. The Klitschko's had to make some adjustments, how to fight guys the same size. AJ and Deontay have been fighting big guys, you know, for their career. They were used to fighting the bigger guys, you know, not bigger than themselves, but I'm just saying taller guys. And all of a sudden, AJ's thrown in there with a 5'10" Carlos Takam, and there was some adjustment. And like we're saying, hopefully he learned something, because when and if there becomes a you know, short, you know, good heavyweight, these guys are going to have to know how to fight against those guys. So,
well, you are 100% correct, and you know, there's a first for all, and you know what? Like I said often on the show, I was schooled, trained, and exposed to tall guys, and I would spar heavyweights, I'd spar light heavyweights, I'd spar bigger guys, and most guys that I fought were a head taller, a foot taller, and you know, it gave me the ability to feint up top, bang to the body, stay inside, brutalize, and do what I got to do. And the first time I had, when I would have a little trouble, is when I fought a guy my size or shorter. And, you know, so what you said is 100% true. And that's, again, what they call the good old golden book of experience. And when you do that, you learn. When you fight different styles, different bodies.
Only the good fighters learn from their experience. Hey, for everybody out there in the YouTube chat, don't forget, man, we got the super chat. So help us out there, and we'll help you. We'll comment on your comment, or we'll mention your comment, or we'll do something. Just whatever you want. Just ask me in the super chat. But in any event, we got some emails, and we'll start off with Jesse. He says, hey, Billy C., Ryan Garcia is getting a lot of hype. Do you think this much attention will be too much for him in believing the hype? He has excellent talent, but he does need more defense and pressure attack, but he relies on his hand speed to keep his opponents at bay. His chin is straight up in the air, ready to be caught. He TKO I love the English with you guys. He TKO'd a durable Fernando Vargas, who usually goes deep into fights. He's been calling out Tank Davis and says he's better. He better get him now, because when he gets older, he's definitely going to beat the Tank. Okay, so my thoughts on this, well, because he's got a couple other points here, Sal. My thoughts on this, and I actually said it on yesterday's show, and you and I talked about it off the air. I love this kid, Garcia. Hand speed, you know, punching power, both hands, yup. But I do think he stands up too straight. This is a case where his natural abilities are taken over. You see this a lot in very talented, athletic young fighters who get by on that. And then at some point, especially as he ages and moves up in weight, it's going to fail him. And a good trainer needs to get this guy going with head movement and, you know, being ready. You know, it's like a fight. I had a heavyweight one time. I'll never forget it. I tell this story a lot. You know, he's sparring. I'm watching him spar. Now, I'm not a trainer, but I'm watching this guy spar, and his hands are down. You know, his hands are down. And, I asked him, I go, why are your hands out? He said, well, I'm not in a danger zone. I said, what are you talking about? He says, well, I only put my hands up when I'm in the danger zone. He can't hit me when I'm not in a danger zone. I said, yeah, that's great now. You're sparring, you got headgear. But what happens when you're in a fight and it's deep into the fight and you're a little tired and maybe your perception is off a little bit and you drop your hands because you don't think you're in a danger zone, and the next thing that happens is you're getting clocked. The moral of the story here, Sal, is you gotta be ready. You can't assume. You know what they say about assuming?
I do. Assuming Nelson? No, teasing.
No, but I mean, don't you think that this kid should be taught the right stuff now?
Well, he should be taught the right stuff now. He's got a world of talent. He's a good fighter. I'll borrow a line when I represented the old Army boxing team. You fight like you train like you fight. And that's what we did, and that's what you do. And you can't wait for later or to get in the danger zone. You got to develop these habits and these styles now, because the danger zone is only a quick flash second of being in position to receive or deliver a punch. And it's when the fight goes on, you get fatigued. The danger zone becomes shorter and more likely to be a strike zone. He's got a great career ahead of him. He's a great young fighter. I like Ryan Garcia very much, but as you and I discussed off the air, this kid's a young kid. He's a teenager. His body is just a teenager. I mean, he's got to grow and develop into a man's body with the years ahead of him, and he will. I think he's got to put some more muscle on him. I think he's got to watch his footwork going backwards, and his hands up, his head should be moving. So, yeah, I think these are things that he's going to grow and develop and learn. But I think he's a world talent right now, world class, and I think he is going to show a lot of people some great things in the future. But he's got to keep his emotional state mature and everything else to follow. And just think about it. This is just a teenager, and he's already doing what most men can't do, or most men try to do, and most men strive to do. So I think he's got a long career ahead of him, and he's got to be handled very carefully.
Well, here's the thing. Like what they do, the girls like him. He's got some fan support. He's got
some rock
he's
star
got all
potential.
of this stuff going for him. So now what happens when you notice, if you're a promoter or a manager and you notice your fighter has these qualities about them, all of a sudden you start saying, "Ooh, wait a minute, we can't take a risk. We don't want this kid to lose. We got this momentum." And then they have a tendency, human nature, to put him in with less than stellar opposition. So he never gets a chance to improve. This is what I constantly say over and over and over. If you are not increasing your fighter's level of competition a little bit after each fight, you're not helping your fighter. You're hurting him. If this kid, Ryan Garcia, is put in with now granted, he was put in. Fernando Vargas was a good fighter,
a mature veteran.
He was a good fighter. But now he's got to go with another one just like it. Make sure it wasn't a fluke. Make sure Vargas, wasn't a spent fighter. Another fighter, maybe a little taller than Vargas. Maybe a little bigger. Maybe with a little more power. We don't really know. The fight didn't get out of the first round. But you can't become complacent with a young fighter, because then they never get a chance to get better. As is the case with Deontay Wilder. But we have some more points here from Jesse. He says, White had a good win, but Brown was horrible. He was just looking to catch White. Lucas had no game plan, like the announcers mentioned. He should retire because it's not safe for him. White versus Brazil, Ortiz, Konaki, Julong, Zhang, or Andy Ruiz. White has much to prove. Hearn keeps pushing for White versus Wilder, but that's not necessary. No. Jesse always has a tendency to come up with all these potential fights. And this time, I actually agree with him.
I do
In a
too.
perfect world, and I was talking about this yesterday, in a perfect world of boxing, you would have these contenders fighting each other. The Whites would be fighting the Brazils, and et cetera, et cetera. That's how you weed out the pretenders from the contenders. But that's not how it works today, boys and girls. White has solidified himself as the mandatory for Deontay Wilder. So unlike what Jesse thinks, and what I agree with too, he's going to be fed to Deontay Wilder. And I say fed because Deontay Wilder, although I'm critical of him, and I don't think he's good, I really don't, he's got the equalizer. He's got the pop. He's got the power. The question for Dillian Whyte is, can he get inside and work the body? This is a fight I actually want to see. And the reason I want to see Whyte against Wilder is I want to see if Whyte has the ability to get inside of Deontay Wilder and work that skinny little body. Because I've said all along that if a fighter gets inside on Deontay and actually commits to a body attack, will destroy Deontay Wilder over a few rounds. It's going to destroy him. But nobody's done it yet. Now, is that because they headhunt? Because they think that Deontay's got a weak chin? We've learned that that's not really the case. Or is it Deontay preventing them from doing that? That's what we don't know yet. And I think that Whyte would be a good test, Sal.
I don't know if I agree with you 100% because the Dillian Whyte that I saw the other night, I was less impressed with Brown than I was more impressed with Whyte. And I think if Dillian Whyte got in a ring right now with Deontay Wilder, I think Deontay Wilder would put his head up on like a golf ball on a tee. And as far as Dillian Whyte or any other fighter, you know, I know you think that Deontay Wilder is just a thin rail that is ready to be broken in half with his body. Bill, let me tell you something with that lean body. It's got the muscle tissue, it's got the obliques, it's got things there that when you could try to sink a punch in there, the reflex muscle, it's going to be like a bulletproof shield. I'm telling you, I give him more credit. Maybe he hasn't had to prove it yet. But that body like that, and I can understand because, you know, there's times when you will see a lean fighter like that that's got the muscle tissue, that's got the obliques, that does have the trunk to withstand a punishment. Just because it's thin doesn't mean it cannot endure a body attack. And I tend to disagree. I think he's got a better body than what you give him credit for.
Nobody's hit him in the body. So how do you know? Well, I go by what I look at. I look at his overall reflex. Size. He's 215 pounds. 215 pounds, fighting guys that are 240. All right, and he's got skinny little toothpick legs. He reminds me of Tommy Hearns. The difference between Tommy Hearns and him, Tommy Hearns, his weakness was the fact that he had no legs. And you know, this was a guy that, you know, when he was stopped, it was because of that. He had freakish punching power, just like Deontay. But Tommy Hearns, he was a boxer. This guy had skill after skill after skill. He was able to do more things. Listen, until somebody works the body, and I'm not suggesting that Dillian Whyte put on this fantastic show. I thought that Dillian Whyte was way better than what he showed me as well on Saturday. But the truth of the matter is I want to see. Listen, we're not going to see Deontay Wilder against AJ next. I would be shocked if we see it. But we may see Dillian Whyte against Deontay Wilder next. And I would like to just see, and I agree with you, I think that Deontay would come out on top in that fight. But what I would like to see is a fighter that has committed to body attack go after Deontay Wilder. No one has done it yet. I don't understand why, because what I see in Deontay Wilder and his wild no balance, no footwork, it's like they line themselves up to get clobbered by the bomb of a right hand that he's got. The way to get in him is get in his face. Don't let him get extended. He doesn't have uppercuts. He doesn't step to the side fluently to land a shot when you're fighting inside. He doesn't. He needs to be away. He needs to use his arm distance. You need to get up in his chest. And if he can fight somebody that does that, I'll give him credit. He hasn't shown it yet. That's all I'm saying about the body attack. And people have been hunting. Listen, you know as well as I do that people kept saying, myself included, up until his last fight, that he had a glass chin. And I think all the fighters were headhunting. I think every fighter that stepped in the ring with Deontay Wilder were hoping that they landed one punch and put Deontay to sleep. I mean, can you at least agree with that?
Well, I think that's what they thought they were going to find out and then try to succeed in doing. But, thank God that we found out that Deontay Wilder does have a good chin and he could take a hell of a shot. And, you made a good analogy. I could see how you would compare the styles of a Tommy Hearns to a Deontay Wilder with their body, at least perspective in their weight class. And but I think Tommy Hearns didn't have quite the chin that Deontay Wilder showed us that he has, and that was what exposed Tommy Hearns on certain levels. But Tommy Hearns was a world beater. Tommy Hearns could lay you out with a right hand, a hook, and he had it all. Tommy Hearns was great, and his only weakness was that chin. And I don't know if the chin was so much in correlation with the weak legs. I think it was just that's when you get hit and that button's pushed, your body just says, "Wow, what happened?" And I think that's sometimes what Tommy Hearns had to look to counter and to stay stable, and you cannot deny that the 3 rounds he gave with Marvin Hagler wasn't some of the best 3 rounds that we saw in boxing.
The last point Jesse has is, Billy, watch the ending of this fight between Robert Garcia's highly touted prospect Joshua Franco against Fernandez in Puerto Rico. It was an excellent fight, but the ending was controversial because the ref stopped the fight in the 9th round when Lucas caught Franco with a left shot that hurt Franco pretty badly. Then he took 5 more unanswered shots, but at the same time, Franco was covering his chin. I think Franco should have taken a knee, fire back some shots, or moved his feet around the ring and moved his head. Franco cried, but nothing to be ashamed of because it was an excellent fight and this was a learning experience. I agree. Listen, you can't fault a referee for stopping a fight when a fighter's not fighting back. Fighters have to learn when they're in trouble. A lot of times when a fighter gets in trouble, they want to try to show their opponent and their corner that they're not hurt. So they immediately jump back up. If they get dropped or something, they jump back, I'm okay. When really they need to take the rest of that, 8 seconds that they're going to be given, whether they're hurt or not. You've seen some experienced fighters do just that. They get a flash knockdown, they stay on their knee, they focus on the referee. When he gets to 7, they rise. These guys that wait till the referee is at 8 or after 8 going to 9 before they rise and then get counted out, that's their mistake. When a referee's at 7, a fighter should rise. To make no mistake, because referees have a tendency to speed up the count as a fighter's rising. Don't ask me why. But, no, I can't blame the ref on that. It really wasn't that controversial in my opinion. But anyway, hey, listen, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, I got another email to talk about, and we got some other stuff, so don't go nowhere.
Billy C will be right back. Part of the Billy C Boxing Network.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks, like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
Need relief from backaches and stiffness in your hips or down your legs? Then you need Dr. Ho's Back Relief Belt, the innovative technology to support and decompress your spine. And now it's covered by Medicare.
Every patient with back pain should be wearing this belt.
Nothing gave me instant relief except for the Dr. Ho belt.
Feel good while standing, walking, driving, doing housework, and while laying down. And now Dr. Ho's patented belt is available at our best price ever. It's even covered by Medicare. Order now and get the easy-to-use hand pump and back rehabilitation DVD free.
Similar belts can cost you almost $1,000, but it won't cost you $500, not $300, not will give you my special.
Dr. Ho's belt is covered by Medicare.
If you know a friend or family member that suffers with pain, get them my system today. Help them live with less pain, be more active, and get back to doing the things they love. Give them the gift of health.
Listen to this important message. If the IRS, you will want to hear this. Penalties and interest compound daily on your back taxes, putting you under a mountain of debt. Tax 10,000 has years of experience connecting people with tax resolution specialists. Working through the IRS Fresh Start program, they will handle all the necessary forms, and if you qualify, you may end up saving thousands of dollars. Call Tax 10,000 at 800-773-4604.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Exercise year-round against a smooth current set to your desired pace and temperature. With our new underwater treadmill, you can walk or run without stressing your joints. Endless pools are simple to install and even simpler to maintain. The water stays crystal clear with almost no chlorine. Call for your free idea kit and experience the freedom of swimming at home.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. He may not have an Excellence in Broadcasting award, but the night's still young.
And he's got martinis.
So you never know what may be by morning. It's Talkin' Boxing with Billy C.
Talkin' Boxing with Billy C.
Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us. And I want to give you a shout out. We got a super chat. My man Johnston just gave us a super chat in the YouTube chat room. And he wants the world to know, the entire world to know that he's going to donate money, because I don't know what the hell how much that is in the UK, maybe pounds. If Parker wins the fight, I don't get it. Does Johnston really think that he's gonna win the fight, or he's just gonna help the show out if Parker wins the fight? It is what it is. I appreciate the super chat 100%. But I wonder, maybe we'll get to see an article from Johnston on his reasons if he thinks that Joseph Parker has a chance against AJ. I mean, obviously he's got a chance, but my man Johnston, putting his money where his mouth is, just gave us a super chat to mention that he's going to donate cash to this show if Parker wins the fight. Check out Johnston's column up on BillyCBoxing.com. He's posting the fight diary that Anthony Joshua is putting out in England for us, so you guys can get it right here on BillyCBoxing.com. But what do you think, Sal? I mean, he's giving Parker a chance.
Call it my Jersey Italian suspicious background, but I think what he means behind that is it's not going to happen, so his cash is going to be safe. I mean, that's how I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it inside out, not just face value on as it reads.
So somebody that says, I'll give you $1,000 if you jump over that, and then you jump over that, and you're like, whoops.
What I'm saying is I believe he, in his heart of hearts, feels that Anthony Joshua is going to do what he's supposed to do and go out there and beat him. But I'm saying what he's saying to you is like, hey, if it snows in the middle of summer, I'm going to give you money. It's not going to happen.
Well, it happened once for the Farmer's Almanac, the old famous in July one time they predicted the weather, rain, sleet. They had 3 days or whatever it was, or no, it was one day they had empty. They're like, well, and for some reason they put rain, sleet, and snow. It was in July, and guess what? That day set a record. There was rain, there was some sleet, and there was snow in July on the East Coast. So
that's
amazing. But anyway, my man Johnston, make sure you check out his column up on BillyCBoxing.com. We got another email here, and this one's from my man Rick. And he says, hey, guys, I was thinking about all the talk over the last 10 years about how the UFC was taking over boxing. In one sense, they are still ahead of the game as far as marketing and TV exposure, but all the demand has shifted the last couple of years ever since Mayweather showed interest in fighting McGregor. Now it's almost like Mayweather is holding that entire sport hostage, and I think it's hilarious. And you all, and you of all people, should at least appreciate Mayweather for that. I don't appreciate Mayweather for anything because he's a con man. But anyway, and he's not holding the UFC hostage. The UFC is getting publicity out of that. I think that the crossover, you know what it was? The whole McGregor thing was that all the MMA fans, and we got to see it firsthand because we did that fight. Sal's place was filled with Conor McGregor fans, and they all honestly felt that he was going to beat Mayweather. They all were so loyal to their guy that they thought that he was going to beat Mayweather. I remember the one guy was depressed. You had to take his shoelaces from him. He was really crushed that Conor McGregor didn't win. But, when you look at it, Floyd Mayweather has made a career, at least the last 10, 12 years, of making damn sure that the guys that he's in the ring with don't have a chance in hell against him. That's my hang-up with him. You knew damn well that McGregor was going to beat Floyd in a boxing match. McGregor never fought in a boxing match before. He shouldn't have been allowed to fight as a sanctioned fight. That was another move by the gutless, spineless piece of garbage, Bob Bennett. Please. And now he wants to fight MMA, but all on his style. He only wants stand-up. He wants this. He wants that. I say, forget you. Let him go crawl under a rock somewhere, and we never get to talk to him again. Rick was always a big fan. Rick stopped listening to this show, I believe, for a while because of how I feel about Mayweather. But anyway, he says, I also think the loss of interest in the UFC has coincided perfectly with the excitement in the heavyweight division over the last year between Wilder and Joshua and some of the other contenders along the way. Wouldn't it be ironic, Billy, if your two favorite fighters, Floyd Mayweather and Deontay Wilder, ended up being responsible for killing the UFC and reviving the heavyweight boxing scene? One last, I'll give Deontay credit, but how does Floyd do? Listen, Floyd, when Floyd leaves the sport thrives. We have not seen, at least it doesn't appear, since Floyd has retired again in this last thing, we haven't seen many fighters that are ducking each other. They seemingly are fighting the right fight, something that Floyd didn't do. No, I think that boxing, at least, I can't really speak for UFC, my man, but for boxing, I think it's doing better without Floyd. And if Deontay gets, if he's the guy responsible, then I'll be the first. You guys have it all wrong about me and Deontay. It's not that I dislike him. I look at his style and I just see he's got nothing that resembles the sweet science. But he does have the equalizer, and I've said it a million times. If that's all, Sal said it today. If that's all he needs to win, fine. Hey, if he beats Anthony Joshua when and if they fight, don't you think all bets are off? Nobody can't give him credit then because there's nobody better than Anthony Joshua right now in the heavyweight division, except for maybe Deontay. If you feel that Deontay's the best, those two are the top. The winner becomes the best. I personally think it's AJ. Sal thinks it's Deontay. I don't know. He says one last thing.
Best right now.
Well, they are. They're number one and number two. He says, one last thing, Billy. I keep hearing you mention Alexander Povetkin as a viable heavyweight contender. I can tell you for myself, I could care less about ever watching that guy fight again. I'd rather see one of these up-and-coming fighters, even if they're unproven and haven't faced anyone of note. I don't know if – I don't recall me saying he's a viable contender. He's there. The best days – as a matter of fact, I just commented in the chat room about that. His best days are long behind him. But my point is simple. I just believe that contenders need to fight other contenders and move up. I think that the heavyweight champion or any champion of a division should always fight the number one ranked contender. And in order to become the number one ranked contender, you shouldn't be allowed to pay for that spot. There shouldn't be a sanctioning body that has the number one spot not rated. That's all a scam. When you see that there's nobody rated at number one, because if you don't have a number one guy, number two becomes number one. So you always have a number one guy. That just goes to show you that promoters get to pay for their slot for their fighters. If fighters fought contenders that were above them, number 15 fights a number 12, and then he becomes number 12 and climbs the ladder until that guy is number 1, not only do we have real fighters fighting the champions, we are weeding out the pretenders from the contenders. Sal, I don't think that there's any other way. If we had to do one thing in the sport of boxing to make sure that the two best fighters are always fighting each other, from a championship perspective, to make them climb up the contender ladder. What's your thoughts?
You know my thoughts. That's what I missed about the old days before I took my Rip Van Winkle sleep. I mean, you had the fighters ranked in the top 10 when there were a few less sanctioning bodies, and in order to work up to number 1, you had to fight the guys on the ladder above you. And that's the way it happened. You didn't see as much of the money under the table to buy your way up the ladder. You had to prove it to fight the guy above you, to beat them, and to move up in their place or above higher. That's it. And that's the way it should be.
Well, I mean, wouldn't it be the best way? I mean, isn't it?
Well, that makes the best sense. It's the best way. You weed out. You do what you got to do and eliminate. And if you are ranked in the top 10 of the world, or even top 15, I don't care how much you want to go deep into the ratings. But the bottom line is, anybody below, before they can aspire to fight the world champion, they should aspire to move up within that top 5 striking distance, or top 1 notch to number 1 contender. And how do you do that? You fight whoever is above you. And that's the way I believe it should still stay and how it should be. So you can earn your way, weed out the ones that can't hold on to the rung, and get to the fight, get to the leverage, and get to the position where you can now be a viable, realistic, deserving contender to fight for the world championship. That's how it should be. You got to earn it. You can't buy it.
I agree, but unfortunately, that's what happens in this sport a lot, my man, a lot. But in any event, hey, listen, don't forget, tomorrow we have our Blast from the Past, which is Michael second to none, a former middleweight and super middleweight world champion, and he also challenged for the light heavyweight championship as well. Unfortunately for Michael second to none, he's sitting in a slammer right now. Got popped for dealing some coke to an undercover cop.
Wow.
And got sentenced to 24 years in jail. It's a shame because he was an extremely talented guy. I used to love watching him fight. We'll talk about him tomorrow. But one thing that I will mention that shocked me, I could have sworn that Michael Nunn was in the Hall of Fame. And he's not. When we go over his resume, you'll see that, he's fought some and beat some great guys. He wanted to fight all the big names of his era, and none of them would fight him. He was too much of a risk for guy. He called out Roy Jones Jr. He fought James Toney, in which he was battering Toney until Toney knocked him out in like the 11th round or something like that. So Michael second to none was an extremely exciting fighter. Unfortunately, things didn't work out as well for him. He's still, I think he's scheduled to get out in another 8 years or so. So very unfortunate chain events for him. But we'll be talking about him tomorrow from our Blast from the Past, on our Blast from the Past, and also Boxing Hall of Famer and New Jersey Boxing Commissioner Larry Hazard will be with us as well. But I'm excited, Sal, about this fight coming up this weekend. I think, I know everybody wants to see Anthony Joshua fight Deontay Wilder, but I don't think anybody should really underestimate Joseph Parker, including AJ. I think that if I'm Anthony Joshua, I don't pussyfoot around in this fight. I go in and take care of business. He needs to make a bigger statement than Deontay made against Ortiz, and a bigger statement that Dillian White made against Lucas Brown. Not that I'm comparing Deontay to White or even their opponents to Joseph Parker, but what seems to be happening in the heavyweight division is that momentum is being built and followed based on the last performance, which is basically how this sport goes. And I think there's a bit of pressure on Anthony Joshua to look good in this fight and to win in a dominating fashion because his fight against Carlos Takam was an ordinary fight. It wasn't all that exciting.
No, it was not. And, I often say many times that, a fighter is only as good as his last fight. Or, to just make that and keep it in perspective, a fighter is as popular as what he exhibits in his last fight. So I think with that being said, Anthony Joshua, after the Takam fight, I think he's going to want to make a statement. I think he's going to want to look good. I think he's going to want to win in dominant fashion. And Parker is going to think the same. He's got to go out there and he's going to win. And that's why I think this weekend is going to be a very good fight. And we will see what happens. I give Parker a real good chance, and we'll see what happens, though. And Anthony Joshua might just be out there and be able to just hammer him shut, and boom, and that will be a dominant fashion the way he can win if he knocks him out, stops him.
Well, considering that Joseph Parker is a world champion,
yes.
I mean, AJ beats him. He's got every single belt but the green one. Exactly. So I think that there's no reason for him to take any chances, and he needs to go in there and take care of business on Saturday. I'm looking forward to it. We'll be talking more. Now, we won't be doing a live show on Friday, boys and girls, due to the holiday, but we will be back on Monday. So on Thursday, Sal and I will be breaking down and giving you our predictions on the big fight. Now, we were asked about doing a post-fight show on Saturday. The fight comes on fairly early, and I would like to try to do a post-fight show, but I won't know until Thursday's show. So hang in there, and we will let you know. We're going to try to coordinate it production-wise to do a post-fight show. Which actually would be our first for this year already. But on this day, March 27th in boxing history, in 1998, Richie Woodall wins a 12-round decision over Thulani Malinga to win the WBC World Super Middleweight title, and that took place in England on this day in 1998. On this day in 1925, James Red Herring wins the World Junior Welterweight title via a 6-round disqualification over Pinky Mitchell. The fight took place in Detroit, Michigan. On this day in 1992, Wilfredo Vasquez knocks out Raul Perez in the 3rd round to win the WBA World Junior Featherweight title, and that took place in Mexico City. On this day in 1925, one of the greatest fighters of all time, Harry Greb, and Gene Tunney fight to a 10-round no decision in Minnesota. According to most ringside reports, Greb gave Gene Tunney the worst beating he ever received as a professional boxer. This is the same Gene Tunney that fought and beat my man Jack Dempsey. On this day in 1934, one of the greatest lightweights of all time, in my opinion, Barney Ross, wins a 10-round decision over Bobby Pacho to retain his World Junior Welterweight title, and that took place in California on this day in 1934. And finally, on this day, March 27th, in 1942, Joe Louis knocks out Big Abe Simon in the 6th round to retain the World Heavyweight title, and that took place at Madison Square Garden in New York City on this day in 1942. Hey, man, that concludes our show for today. Make sure you tune in tomorrow morning. Same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, I'll leave you with this. Ciao, baby.